विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, continuing from last chapter, Canto 1, Chapter 3, text number 13. The eighth incarnation was King Rishabha, son of King Nabi and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. So in this shloka, there is an important word mentioned, Darshayan Vartma Dhiranam. So this word Dhiranam, when our Acharya Srila Prabhupada is taking class on this verse, he is explaining how this Dhira is very important in this world. There are two classes of people, Dhira and Adhira. Dhira, Adhira, Janapriyam. In our Goswamis, they were very dear to Dhira and Adhira. So Dhira means they are sober, they are gentle, and the other kind of people are Adhira, means they cannot even control their senses, they are like animals. So Dhira means he can become a devotee by his controlling the senses. And here it is mentioned how this God consciousness, this Krishna consciousness, as Rupa Goswami, our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu direct followers, about them there is a song in that Krishnat Kirtana Gana Nartana Parau. Krishna Kirtana Ganana Nartana. It is said when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to Maharashtra, he met a great devotee of Vittal. Vittal is Lord Krishna temple. Vittal, Lord is called as Purandara Vittal. Vittal Rukmini temple is there in Pandharpur, Maharashtra. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met him, and by the influence of Lord Chaitanya, they were mostly known for playing kirtan. They were doing kirtan, bhajans. But after seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishnart Kirtana Ganana Nartana, they were influenced by taking even dancing, by reciting the names of the Lord. This Nartana is very important. The Lord becomes very pleased. It is said when you come in front of the Lord and when you raise your hands, full surrender, Krishna, please protect me. It is said when Rukmini asked for Krishna, please come and marry me, he immediately came forward to marry. If devotee is calling, Krishna does not wait. Similarly, when Draupadi called Krishna, I am helpless, you are my only hope, you are my only friend, for all our family you are the only friend. He got so much of feeling, he felt so much of obligation of Draupadi inviting him, please come and help me, that he was ready to do anything for that sake. He came and helped Draupadi. So when we are raising our hands helplessly Actually, we are all helpless. There is nothing which we feel I am having. Even if you possess lot of weapons, it's all useless. Arjuna had so many weapons, but when they were in danger, only Krishna came and helped them. Although Krishna forced you have to do your duty to fight, behind everything Krishna was there personally helping Arjuna and Pandavas. Even at the end, when they were retiring and they were following their elder brother Yudhishthir Maharaj, and they were walking and going in the Himalayas, by the advice of his elder brother, he dropped all the weapons. He thought, why these weapons? What shall I do? So this Dhira and Adhira, Pandavas were all Dhiras, they were devotees. And when we surrendered to the Lord, just like Draupadi opened her hands and said, Krishna, E Govinda, E Madhava. So he felt obligation. Oh, I have to help. So devotees can, even now, they take an opportunity whenever we are in difficulties, can raise your hands. There is an easy way and pray, Krishna, you are only there for me, I don't have anybody. Actually, we do this every day in our life. We go and ask this to our colleagues, we go and ask our friends, we go and ask our enemies. I have no other help, please help me. But we have to do this with the Supreme Lord. And the very easy way of asking is by raising hands in Kirtana. Kirtana means you are doing the bhajana, sankirtana for the benefit of everybody who are listening to it. Japa means we do it softly for our benefit. Sometimes some newcomers or neophytes also would like to imitate that they are chanting and somebody is observing. They want to show that they are chanting. So sometimes they loudly, Krishna, Krishna, they try to show loudly that to get attention of others. But Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, when we are chanting, we have to show attention to the holy name. Japa means we have to keep every word when we are chanting Krishna, Govinda, Madhava. When we are chanting each word, you have to give attention to the Lord. Oh my Lord, you are there, you are come in the personal form, in your holy name. And He is non-different. And that is where we can relish the Lord. We are giving attention. But as a neophytes, newcomers, upstarts, we do mistakes of trying to take attention from others, that I am chanting, so you please recognize me. Please recognize I am a spiritualist. Please recognize you please become happy with me. The same thing we have to do with the Lord. We are doing with the whole world. Please see at me. Please smile at me. Please give me money. I'll work for you morning to night. So, in this incarnation, when the Lord has come as Rishabha, King Rishabha, He actually showed a path of perfection where Dhira, it's a path for Dhiras. And He also controlled His senses personally, and who honored by all orders of life. Rishabhadeva was honored by all orders of life. All orders means there is a student life where we practice celibacy. Celibacy is unknown in this world. Sometimes it is seen as primitive also or impractical. Celibacy is not impractical. Celibacy has to be trained. The young boys from childhood onwards, if they are not exposed to the opposite gender with bad habits, they will not see them in the mode of enjoying their senses. they'll be playing. The girls, they become, by the time they become 12, 13 years, they become mature and they grow and their senses become very active. But for boys, it takes little more time. In Vrindavan, when Krishna was playing with the gopis, they were like boys and girls playing in childhood. But those days they used to get them married earlier. And Krishna was a nice boy, beautiful, playing around with them. And they all desired Krishna should become their husband. They were going to Mother Katyayini, Mother Parvati and praying. There is a lot of vrat which happen. They follow some rituals for obtaining good husband, and even there are some ceremonies which are performed for protection of their family, husband, relatives. So they were going and praying, simple village girls they were. So they were going and praying, please, I want Krishna as my husband. So Krishna is sometimes misunderstood about Krishna's Ras Leela, and he was a women hunter. Even during Krishna Rajasuya Yajna, he was criticized by Shishupala and such other envious kings. They used to criticize him. He's a women hunter. But Krishna is not a women hunter. He's a Paramatma in everybody's heart. By reciting his names, lust disappears from our heart. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, if you are hearing Krishna's Leela with the gopis, it purifies our heart. If Krishna's Ras Leela can purify our heart and purify our lust, whether Krishna's pastimes are dealt with lust, it is impossible for Krishna to have lust because he is Madana Mohana. The Cupid gets carried away. He gets attracted by Krishna. And Radharani is called Madana Mohana Mohini. A Cupid, thousands of Cupids come together. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. Krishna is so attractive, you cannot compare him even with hundreds and thousands of Cupids. He is so attractive. Even Cupid gets attracted by Krishna. He is Madana Mohana. He is an enchanter of even Cupid. So when you become a Dasa, Madana Mohana Dasa, Dasi, a servant of the Lord, lust can come under your control. Now lust is not under our control. We are controlled by lust. So people criticize Krishna, and he was supported by Bhishma, a great brahmachari, Vyasa, the compiler of the Vedas, Sukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasa, who practiced celibacy. He was a brahmachari whole life. He was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi, very strict sannyasi. Not like having a private life with women separately, like conditioned souls they have. They have a conditioned person with material desires. He has a private life separately and a religious life he shows for the public separately. A conditioned soul has all these kind of faults. But great acharyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sukadev Goswami, they had freedom from everything. They were above three modes of material nature. There was no kama, krodha, lobha, mada, matsarya, no lust, no greed, no anger. They were attracted to Krishna and they were glorifying how Krishna was having Ras Leela with the gopis. So if it is a only lustful activities between like an ordinary boy and ordinary girls, they would have not, Krishna would have not, his pastimes would have not been described by such great acharyas. Such great acharyas would have not glorified Krishna. So in this discussion we are seeing how Rishabhadeva, he is showing what is perfection of life, and we see how Krishna, his pastimes are perfect and they are not to be imitated by anybody. Like here, as an Acharya, Prabhupada is advising that how this civilization is to become dhira. Nobody trains people to be gentlemen. No education is given in any university how to become a gentleman. Education is given only on technical details, even in how to manage things, but how to reform our character, this is not given anywhere. So here, our advancement of civilization, Prabhupada is saying how, if you want to know what is civilization, you have to know how to become dhira. You have to learn dhiranam. In the Bhagavata it is described. So Vedic civilization means for the most gentle, highly advanced, not for the cats and dogs. Nobody can be trusted in this world. Sometimes, not sometimes, especially in the Western world, even in India, every house we write beware of dogs, so that nobody enters the house, because nobody trusts anybody. That's the situation. Nobody is a gentleman. By taking a certificate that I am educated, you are not having a certification, how you will become a gentleman? And there is so much of cheating. There is no trust between husband and wife, children and parents. In this situation, these teachings of Rishabhadeva are very much useful from Bhagavatam. They are saying how the society of human beings is naturally divided into 8 orders and status of life. And this brahmacharya or the student life is very important. And we see Rishabhadeva's sons. He is a king. In the Vedic civilization, people sometimes claim how in the Vedic civilization it's all on caste basis according to their birth. So they were all exploited. The other classes, the lower classes, were exploited by the higher classes. In the reality, the Vedic civilization never encouraged that. Janmana jayate shudra. By birth, they were not considered to be perfect until they went and took education, and according to their behavior, their qualities of work, they were determined. So this can be practically seen in King Rishabha's life. So he had 100 sons, and among them the 9 sons, they were very great renunciants, sannyasis, paramahamsas, and other few people became administrators, kshatriyas, and others took up the other classes of the society. So generally, if you see what generally is claimed, that a priest's son should become a priest, a king's son should become a king, that's how in our social science classes it is taught. But in reality, in the Vedic civilization, it was not like that. Parshurama's mother, their grandmother, actually he got married to a princess. Then his mother, his grandfather. So then his mother wanted a son, and she also wanted a son. So they asked to perform some prayers, and he got some prasadam for them, some eatables, and he had kept that offering separately for mother and mother-in-law separately. So he had prayed for having a son with noble and softness and peaceful nature, because he was practicing the priesthood, and he was a tapasvi, a brahmana. And mother-in-law, she wanted a son, because for ruling the state, he had supposed to be like a warrior, very strong, fierce. But the mother-in-law started doubting. She thought her son-in-law would have made something better for his wife than for mother-in-law, and she asked, can you exchange that fruit of what has been given? So when it was exchanged, and when that sage came to know, he criticized his wife and said, now you will have a son, a warrior son, and your brother will be very saintly. So she said, no, why it has happened, a mistake. Then he said, then it was transferred to the next generation, that the grandson will become, he'll have the qualities of a Kshatriya. That's how Parshurama became a warrior incarnation, a fearsome for the Kshatriyas. He killed all the Kshatriyas who tried to trouble him, and in that name he went all around the world, very powerful. He had a chopper to cut off the Kshatriyas. So it was not actually the Vedic civilization. The divisions of work was based on the quality and their nature of work. So here also we see how he was the king Rishabhadeva, the son of King Nabi and Meru Devi. He was actually an incarnation, empowered incarnation, and he instructed his sons to follow the path of perfection by tapasya, which sanctifies one's existence and enables one to attain the stage of spiritual happiness, which is eternal and ever increasing. Because every living being is after happiness. And this happiness, because of identifying with our own body, we don't understand how there can be happiness above this body. So here, in all the renounced order of life, he is teaching as an incarnation, whatever status life you are following, whether you are a brahmachari or a grahastha or vanapastha or a sannyasi, you should not seek after foolish happiness, because the foolish man forgets that the temporary so-called happiness derived from sense pleasure is also enjoyed. They don't understand it's also enjoyed by animals like hogs and dogs. No animal, bird or beast is bereft of this sense pleasure. In every species of life, including the human form of life, such happiness is immensely available. So when we have got an opportunity to practice religious life and a gentleman life, we have to accept it and to become a dhira, a man with undisturbed senses. He is called dhira. It means even if there is a provocation, he doesn't get disturbed. He is a dhira. Adhira means for a slight provocation, he gets so much disturbed. He cannot control. So here it is mentioned, suppose you are sitting in a class and now you are having an opportunity to talk with other women and girls. If you are a gentleman, you should not exploit the situation. If you are not a gentleman, you can even first become a proper human being. then talk about spirituality. In the name of religious practices, there are many things which are exploited. People say in one religion exploitation is more, in one more religion it is less. Then there is a fight between two religious groups. In my religion, exploitation is less. In your religion, exploitation is more. The idea is, in any religion, the religious life means it is having freedom from exploitation. And these lessons were basically given to a man. Because man is supposed to be controlled and dhira. And then he should become a good example for his family. A good husband, a good father used to be the real teachers. And girls were not required to go and study hard, because a man was taking all the trouble in the Vedic age and he was learning everything. And in turn, the family used to get benefited automatically. So if you see any Vedic literatures, they are meant for men. Instructions are given to men, don't exploit women. So we see generally people may think that its partiality is given for in scriptures, they speak for men. Because man is supposed to be controlled. He has to follow tapasya. There is no tapasya of following brahmacharya given to women. Women are automatically chaste in their character and they get attached to a family automatically, that is their culture. So these instructions are given to men because men actually take advantage of women's kindness and they can exploit them very easily. So as an Acharya, Srila Prabhupada also is instructing, you are all God brothers and God sisters, and there are also married women. They are mothers. So we should not take undue advantage, and we should train them, like how it is said here that one should be trained from the very beginning how to become gentle, controlled. And if people are not gentle, how can you expect peace and prosperity? That's why there are boards everywhere. Beware of God, don't come here, don't come here. Nobody welcomes. If you are in an advanced nation, you are supposed to be providing more resources, more charity. In Indian villages, even now, if they see a person is coming from a good family, they welcome them until they are appearing like a thief. If they see somebody is from a saintly person has come to their village, they welcome them, give them water, they offer them food, hospitality is given to them. Whereas in very, very advanced nations, where they have so much of money, so much of resources, everybody is given a benefit of doubt. Whether he is a thief, why has he come to our house? There is network marketing. You can sell your goods to your relatives and friends and get profit. So network marketing teaches people how you can get more benefit by selling to your friends. So you have made your friends your customer. That's all right if it is benefiting them. But the idea is how much percentage you will get. That's where teaching itself is a cheating. In schools and colleges, we are taught how to cheat our friends to earn your money. Then it increases more and more. After some time, that friend will stop believing, oh, he sold something to me, so I will also try to sell something. So you are losing your well-wishers. So if there was no need of having a security gate at the gate, and allowing somebody with signature to come inside. There were no need of gated communities. But they are becoming a necessity right now. India is advancing, means they are also advancing how to produce a gentleman, a so-called gentleman class, where they'll come with tie and suit, but they can come and loot us. They can come and steal us. So people, we should have a security system in airport. Everywhere there is fear, what will happen. So Rishabha Deva, King Rishabha, he is an incarnation, and he is teaching people that in any status of life, you have to follow this gentlemanness, and that will start from your student life. And the student life, even as kings used to send to their to the Guru's place, they used to go and they used to stay there, and they used to follow austerities. And in the renounced order of life, even among the renounced order of life, sannyasa, there are 4 categories of sannyasa. These stages are called kuti chaka. Kuti chaka means they should stay in their same village. Bahudaka, after staying in the same village, the householder who has taken renounced order of life, instead of getting food from his house in his kutir, he used to go to other people and also take alms. That was called Bahudaka. And then he used to become Parivrajaka Acharya. He used to go outside and preach. And then there used to be a perfection stage of Paramahamsa. So this Paramahamsa stage was a life of perfection. And this stage was achieved by anybody. It's not that they have to take birth in a Brahmin family. As a Kshatriya, also they could achieve it. Even as a Shudra family, they take birth, but if they have a quality of becoming a Brahmana, becoming a Vaishnava, by following principles, they could upgrade and they used to become like that. So in this incarnation, he gave very important directions, and he was so powerful incarnation that Indra became envious of him because he performed lot of sacrifices. Indra is a position in the heavenly planet. The present Indra, he has a name. Indra is a post. The present Indra, he happens to become Indra for a particular time. In a Manmantra is a rule of a Manu. There are 14 Manus who come in one day of Brahma. We are presently, the 7th Manu is going on. And in this 7th Manu, we have one Indra, that is a post. And that Indra name is called Purandara right now. And the next Manmantra, every Manmantra, the post, like elections also happen 5 years, once 10 years. Like that, there is an election every Manmantra. And how they are elected? By their pious activities. And there are times where the previous incarnation we saw, his name was Yagna. The 7th incarnation was Yagna, the son of Prajapati. And the administrative post occupied by Devatas for maintaining the regulation are offered to highly pious living beings. So Indra post is given to a very pious being. They are very pious. Although Indra appears to be very lusty and is a Sakama Bhakta, he is very pious. They obey the orders of the Lord. And during the Swayambhuva Manu, the present is Vaivastava Manu. The Swayambhuva Manu means the first Manu, second Manu, third Manu, like that. There are Manus. During the Swayambhuva Manu, there was no suitable living being. And to occupy the post of Indra, the Lord himself became Indra and assisted by his sons like Yama and other demigods. Lord Yagna, his name was Lord Yagna. So this Indra was who came during Rishabhadeva's incarnation. He was a different Indra. So Indra's post also keep on changing. So in this Indra was not the Supreme Lord, he was one more pious soul, but he became jealous, or he becomes worried. What will happen to my post? Because he has got some post by pious activities, and if there are somebody else who are pious, they will occupy his post. So he becomes always worried. And he stopped rain. And Rishabdeva could produce rain by his mystic power. So he was very powerful. And to show an example, he actually retired from his family life. There were great kings, but they were not holding to the post up till their death. Like the present politicians, they are worried even when they are on their beds in ICU theatres also. If they get up again, they will come into election. They are waiting for them only to come, and after, at the time of their death, then they will hand over to their children. They will also hold the post up to their death. There is a present situation, but previously the Vedic civilization, they were not after any post, and they were showing example, including Parshurama, the warrior incarnation. He had to atone for killing so many kings. So he gave up his weapons, and even now he is said to have been doing the meditation, penance. So they are all given here. It's very practical. How to become a gentleman. So present education is not there. Rishabdeva showed example, and he taught his children, headed by King Bharata. So because of Maharaj Bharat, this earth is called as Bharata Varsha. Before that it was called as Ilavata Varsha, because he is so famous. And Bharata, after listening to from his father, like son, very qualified, he gave up his kingdom later. He also left to the forest. He was not attached to his wealth. He was not attached to his material power. He was attached to self-realization. This is what is taught in the Vedic life. What is self-realization? Is my body is temporary. I am attached to this body. And anything which disturbs my body, I become disturbed. Because I am identifying with my body. Anybody says about me, I become disturbed. Any of my position can be disturbed by somebody blaspheming or scolding or relationship differences. We become very much disturbed. The idea of self-realization, when people discuss on self-realization, they always say God should help me. But God helps those who help themselves. God has given sufficient intelligence to do our duties. We are not ready to do our duties. We are attached to our social platforms. We are attached in this world. How people respect me, how they have to give me honor, how much money I have to earn. They are not interested in self-realization. So King Rishabha, he showed us practical ways how we have to respect this spiritual life. And here it is said that if you are having a training of become a Dhira, this Dhira training is very important. When you are having a training to become a Dhira, you don't get disturbed by small things. Small things don't disturb you. And in childhood especially, if you are trained as a brahmachari, you will start seeing everybody as mother except your wife until you get married. So our Acharya was given an example in 1925. He had taken his son to a cinema theatre, and there when he is seeing some women on the screen, he was identifying that as one more mother, one more mother. Because a child is trained, he doesn't know anybody except his mother. So right now, people have a lot of videos, movies, and even schools are going on online. And what and all they see in the movie theatres, in the television, we have no idea. How will they learn how to control their senses, how to respect their mother, how to see their mother without lust? It is said, Bhalavan Indriya, our Indriyas are so Bhalavan, Vidvan api akarshit, it can actually attract even a person of knowledge, with knowledge. So it is advised that even with mother, sister, generally people do not become lusty. You will not become lusty with mother or sister. That's how you have to see any other women as mother. But if you are in a compromising situation with mother and sister in a closed room, you may get agitated. So they are advising, we have to be careful. So this training has to be given even among family members. But we don't know how it happens, because nowadays everybody has access how to reach to something which is not wanted at that particular age. In every age there is a training given. So how we can become sober? People very easily they can blame Krishna is like that, God is like that, he did like that. So they're very easily they can actually blaming Krishna and Krishna's Ras Leela, but they cannot understand what is this. Because Krishna's pastimes are connected to the soul. And here they are talking about body. There is no bodily enjoyment. When Krishna's Ras Leela or anything, there is nowhere connected to sense gratification. So these are things which have to be taught, and here it is mentioned how Paradareshu, anybody, any other's wife should be treated as mother. So Rishabhadeva, he taught all these teachings, and he has taught people how to become dhira and peaceful. You cannot become peaceful when you have agitation in your senses. When your body is dragging, when you are having fever, and if you expect yourself to be peaceful, doctors will say, be calm, everything will become all right. When you are diseased, how you can be all right? So your mind is disturbed. Similarly, when your senses are disturbed, you cannot be peaceful. They are compared to be like your partners. For a man, if suppose he has married, with one wife means she will drag, you come this side. If he is having two friends or two wives, she will drag both directions. Our senses are compared to our spouse or like wives. Two eyes, nose, tongue. They are all being dragged in different directions. And when you are going to the forest with your wives for meditation, and when they are being dragged one direction, how can you can expect to be having peace? You will never have peace. So until you have to train your senses. So this training is being recommended by Rishabhadeva, and he is explaining how in Kumara Sambhava, I have mentioned this earlier also, how Kalidasa Kavi, he explains how Lord Shiva is called Dhira, and that Dhira stage, he explains how Mother Parvati, she was sent by the Devatas for marrying Lord Shiva, and the only way was she had to go and wake him up and she went and touched his genitals to wake him up. And Lord Shiva was undisturbed. And Kalidasa Kavi says he's a Dhira. So it's a state where you are not disturbed, even when there is a reason for becoming agitated. So this training is very much important, and this training is given from childhood to brahmacharis. So we are trained in brahmachari means it feels that it's something very primitive. Why are you talking on brahmacharya and all? It is said that if you can save your semen and not lose it, then it increases your brain substance, memory. You will become so sharp in your memory, you don't require computers. In the Vedic age, they used to chant the mantras in particular meter. They used to never required books to have printed. It was called Shruti. They used to just hear. Now we require how much, we ask what is the memory card size, when you are purchasing computer, how much space it can take, whether it is terabyte, gigabyte, how much MB, GB, all these things we will be inquiring because we require more memory to save all that. It is said that in our brains, they have done some research in some universities. Our brain cells are so powerful that it can store information how much ever the whole universities of the world, libraries are there, that much information one cell, brain cell can save. So that's the capacity of a human brain. But how it can get more nurtured? It can happen by awakening your consciousness. If you are every day after sense gratification, all your chit shakti or the energies flow down as semen and it goes away. That's why we see a philosopher or a scientist not getting too much attached by bodily requirements. They are working through their brains. Their brain substance increases. In their food habits, it used to say that how a saintly person, just by having one glass of milk, they used to sustain their whole day, and they are more interested with self-realization. So if you see in modern days also, they want a lot of proteins, vitamins, but they don't take any food which can increase their energy, which can increase their brain cells. They are always eating some food which only gives more and more sustainability to body, not to the brain. Body and brain are interconnected. So if you require right intelligence, you require to eat food, you have to train your brain in such a way that your brain doesn't get drained. There is some doctor was telling how if you take hot milk, it goes to the brain. There is a saying also like that. Hot milk goes to the brain and cold milk goes to the drain. Means it will go waste. So like that there are some tips. Even in modern researchers, they do some tips how you should not waste your semen. And semen is so valuable. Even in medical science, how they say it's compared to some amount of blood. One drop of semen is, if you quantify it with blood, like you have lost some quarter liter of blood, we don't know exactly, some medical terms, they say some amount of blood you have lost. It's a finer blood which has to go to your brain. But when you lose all your energy. So the semen has to be used properly. But the present age, there is no such kind of education. And you become very happy, very brightened when you can save your semen. So all these principles, it is written, those who have been trained for abstinence in material pleasures are called Dhira, or men undisturbed by the senses. Only these dhiras can accept the order of sannyasa, and they can gradually rise to a state of Paramahamsa, which is adored by all members of the society. King Rishabha propagated this mission, and at the last stage he became completely aloof from the material body needs, which is a rare stage, not to be imitated by foolish men, but to be worshipped by all. So people actually, there are many imitators, they become fans. If you find a good hero in a movie or a novel, they take them idealistically, means that's all right, but they just try to imitate them. So King Rishabha also was imitated by some people, and they started a set of religious life in their own way, which is against the Vedic principles, by torturing their body. Like King Rishabha, he was not wearing any clothes and walking. He didn't care. He was Avaduta. So there are also people who don't wear clothes and claim to be spiritualists. Definitely it requires a lot of pain for torturing your body, but you don't need to torture so much. If you take up self-realization, you have to torture your evil thoughts, but you don't need to torture your body so much. So which can give you so much of self-realization. So people, they were imitated by foolish men. So we see this is the life of Rishabhadeva, and in this incarnation he showed the path of perfection. So we'll stop here and we'll continue in the next class. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.